Is the Apple Watch worth buying? I'm Josh Smith with GottaBeMobile.com. I'm going to give you our Apple Watch review and hopefully help answer some questions about whether this watch is good enough for you to buy. Here are a few things the Apple Watch does really well. First off, it knows when it's on your wrist. So if I take this off and set it on my nightstand, it will no longer get notifications. So I'm going to be able to leave this wherever I want it, and I'm not going to have to worry about it waking someone up while my watch is charging or while it's just sitting there. It's also really good at knowing when you are using your iPhone. So if I'm on my iPhone and I get a notification for one of these apps, it's not going to push it to my wrist and to my iPhone at the same time. Sometimes if you get a message on your computer, on your Mac, on OS X, you might get a duplicate iMessage here, but most of the time that does not happen. Now, while I like the Google Now-like interface of the Moto 360 that I wore for a good part of last year and part of the start of this year, I do like the Apple Watch interface. Sometimes tapping on icons at the edge of the screen can be difficult. As you see there, I was trying to tap on Starbucks and I got a different app, but you can easily move to where you want. I limit my notifications pretty severely. So I'm not going to get notifications for every app that I have installed here. I don't get notifications for email, for chat on my watch because we have Slack for work. So I'm lucky enough that I can limit my notifications greatly. I also don't get Facebook notifications because that's part of where the Apple Watch experience can break down. If you get too many notifications on your watch, you're going to be constantly looking at your watch when you don't really need to. And that's almost a bigger distraction because you feel that haptic feedback on your wrist. So you're going to be like, oh, I need to look at my watch, and it can interrupt you even when you're in a meeting. It separates your notifications from information that you just might want to see. So if you swipe down from the top, you get notifications. So if you have multiple notifications, you can force touch. If you have one, you can swipe and clear. But if I just do a harder press, I can clear all. Now, glances come from the bottom. So if I swipe up from the bottom, I can see other information. So starting from the leftmost glance, and you can customize these on your iPhone using the Apple Watch app. You can control what shows up here. This is kind of our control center. I can ping my phone. I can put the device on silent mode, do not disturb, and I can even go into airplane mode. Here I can control music, including the volume up and down using the digital crown. And this will play on the device depending on what's currently playing on your phone. One more swipe and you can go to heart rate, and it will measure your heart rate for you. And that takes just a minute to do. Here we can see our battery remaining. We can go into power reserve mode where you just see the time. The activity monitor will tell us how we're doing towards our stand, exercise, and move goals. In this case, not too well. If I tap on that, it will take me into that app where I can see more information about my goal and how I'm doing. Now you can only get to glances when you're on the watch face right here. We also have a calendar where you can see your calendar. You can get the current weather. And then you have some other ones. We have maps, will show you your current location and time to home. You have world clock, so I can see what time it is where my coworkers are. And then I have dark sky, which is letting me know the kind of a duplication, but I get partly cloudy and I get to know how much daylight is remaining. So that's the difference between your glances, which won't interrupt you, and your notifications, which will come in and interrupt you. Two apps that I really, really like are Passbook and Apple Pay. Now, these are kind of built in together, and with this, I'm able to easily make payments, and I can quickly pull up cards to use in a store. To use Apple Pay, you just double tap your side button and hold the front of your Apple Watch up to the reader. Some readers are placed oddly, so you have to go all the way over and hold your wrist way down. But for the most part, it's very handy. Battery life is very good. It's more than enough for me to get through one day, even with a 30 to 60 minute workout and barely scratch below 50% battery life. Some of the features require the person to have an Apple Watch. So if we go into the friends section here, when I'm on someone without an Apple Watch, I cannot send them everything that's available. So if I go back, I can go to someone who does have an Apple Watch, and I have digital touch. So with this, I can tap that person. I can hold 2 fingers down on the screen. And here I'm getting a sketch back from someone. And so I can sketch back to them and draw whatever I want. I'm getting taps here. Draw a little crude butterfly. Sometimes it can be hard to master that. And then if I hold 2 fingers, it will send a heartbeat. So you can see in the background there, it's sending my heartbeat to this other person. So for those to work, the person needs to have an iPhone. Now I can send the emoji like this, where you scroll through and pick the emoji that you want, and it'll send this as an animated GIF to the individual. Even if they don't have an iPhone, it will go to, or if they don't have an Apple Watch, it'll just go to their iPhone, and they'll still be able to see this. So now you just heard a message, but it didn't light this up. So if I tilt my hand, it will show me a message from Adam Mills, and it will show this all to me, and I can scroll up and I can hit reply. And there are canned responses. Now, sometimes these canned responses will pull in different information right from the conversation that we're having. So it might say, yes, I got The Witcher, or no, I didn't get Wolfenstein. In this case, I can reply by using dictation. No, I did not get The Witcher yet. You should have bought it for me. I can tap done, and we'll send to him, and I can choose to send it as audio or as text. And you can set a default for this. And just like that, it's been sent. Now I can go back into messages, and I can review the message that we're having right here, and I can scroll up and I can hit reply. And here's where I can then again send him a message with a tap, and that will go right to him. Or again, I can go to emoji and scroll through. There's a couple different options. If you tap and hold, you can switch to a red emoji. Siri is really useful on the Apple Watch. You use it for commands and also for dictation inside apps. When the screen is on, you can say, "Hey Siri, send a text to Adam Mills saying I can't wait to play The Witcher 3. Another area that I really enjoy using the Apple Watch for is fitness. I'm on a goal to lose 50 pounds. I'm down 20 pounds right now, and I've been using a bunch of different weight loss apps and services to motivate myself. Now, this started well before I got the Apple Watch, but the Apple Watch does a really good job of letting me track my outdoor exercises and even my indoor exercises. And so you can see your previous exercises, and when you go in, you can choose whether you want to run for a specific time, whether you want to run for a specific set of calories, go for different mileage, or you can even just set an open goal. And there is this other. So if I'm mowing the lawn, or if I'm doing some other type of exercise that I want to count towards my daily goal, but it's not one of these specific things, I can do that. And it's really handy to use that feature. And that plays into the activity tracker so that I can get an idea of how much exercise I have that day. In this case, I need to exercise some more, and how close I am to my move goal. So the Apple Watch is not going to help you lose weight magically. It's not going to exercise for you. But if you need that motivation to remind you, hey, I didn't do a whole lot today. It's almost 6 p.m. I haven't burned many calories. I exercised 2 minutes, which was probably walking to my backyard once. This could help you out. The stand goal is really handy. If you don't stand for at least 1 minute and move around during the hour, the watch will vibrate gently and say, hey, you should stand up and walk around. This is really useful if you work in an office or if you work from a home office and you find yourself sedentary a lot. This is a big wake-up call. I thought I was getting up and moving around a lot, but I get vibration alerts from the Apple Watch at least every other hour because I've been sitting for too long. MyFitnessPal is one of my favorite ones. I use this in conjunction with the fitness tasks. And what's really handy with the fitness tasks is any of the fitness things that I do get tracked right into the health app and can be shared to other apps. So if you have a favorite fitness app that you're using, you can basically use the exercise part here. And as long as that app can tie into health, you'll be able to track that. What's missing from the Apple Watch? Well, first off, there's no sleep tracking. And part of that is due to the fact that this isn't really designed to be worn all night. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable, especially with this sport band, but with battery life that can probably do 2 days for me, but not always do 2 days, it's not really something that you're going to wear every night and then charge up in the morning before you leave. So Apple did not include sleep tracking. As far as apps go, apps can take a little while to load. Sometimes you can tap and they go right in. Other times, like Instagram here, it took a little while to load and then takes even longer for options to appear. And while an app like that, it's not a deal breaker. Say I want to control my lights. Sometimes I can tap on it and boom, I'm right there. I can quickly turn my lights on or off with a tap and it's really handy. Other times when I go to open an app, I might as well take the iPhone out of my pocket because it takes so long to load. Another thing to consider about apps right now is while there are some handy apps, and I do like apps like the remote shutter that allows me to use the iPhone camera as basically a remote shutter so you can see what's going on and you can take a picture from that. And there are some really handy built-in apps. A lot of the third-party apps could use a little bit of work. With everything else that the Apple Watch does, it's also a very good watch. So if you raise your wrist, it will turn on and show you the clock. You can also change to bring that into the app that you last used with your iPhone settings. Now, if you need to make this go away, just put your hand over it and it'll turn the watch face off. It's pretty good at not lighting up when you're driving, but sometimes the back and forth motion of driving and moving your steering wheel will cause this to light up. You can choose different watch faces. You can choose different complications. That's what these small little options are here, so that you can have different parts of what you want showing up. In this case, I have the date, I have the temperature, and I have my next appointment showing up. And Mickey taps to the second. And so what I can do is I can switch between a variety of options and you can choose what you want to show up. So in this case, we have a jellyfish that will show up on the screen, but I can customize that and I can switch between a variety of items. I have a flower, I have butterflies, and I can choose whether I want the date to show up on this one as well. Each watch face has kind of a little different option. I like to use some of these that allow me to have more information on the screen at once, like sunset and sunrise, time in another location, and still see my activity. And you can customize this, including the color, so you can make the watch face just about any color you want just by scrolling with the digital crown, and that changes it for the complications as well. Now, my favorite one that I use most often is this modular, because it shows me the most information. The Apple Watch display is nice. There are two sizes. There's the 42 millimeter and the 38 millimeter. This is the larger size. The only real differences there are the size of the screen, and the larger one packs a slightly larger battery. Now, this is an OLED display and it delivers deep blacks and pretty vibrant colors. It looks really nice. I can read this fine outdoors. If it's really, really bright out, sometimes it looks a little washed out, but I'm still able to tell what time it is. While running outdoors, I can quickly lift my wrist up and I can see what time it is and I can track the other fitness things. So I haven't run into that problem of trying to read this outdoors. There is internal storage, so you can sync over a photo and you can zoom in on your photo. And there is also storage for music. Now, there is no Spotify app for this right now, but I have different playlists. So here I'm seeing playlists that are on my iPhone. If I force touch, I can change the source and switch over to just Apple Watch, and I'll see just items I have on the Apple Watch. In this case, I have to repair a Bluetooth headset because I don't have my Bluetooth headset in range. So you can pair a Bluetooth headset directly to this so that if you have music on here, your fitness tracker on here, and a Bluetooth headset, you can leave your Apple Watch at home. Now, it takes a little while to train the fitness part of that, but you can use the Apple Watch by itself for a variety of activities. You're going to want your iPhone most of the time, but thanks to the ability to put things on your internal storage, you don't always need your iPhone. The Apple Watch design skips the circular face that we're seeing on some competing devices, and instead we go with a rectangular design. This is the Sport, so this is aluminum. This is the space gray model. There's also stainless models in silver and in space gray, and there is an aluminum silver Sport model as well. So you have a variety of choices. You can also switch out your bands. There's a small button to push in right here that allows you to slide the band out so that you can switch band sizes and switch different types of bands. You can switch any band from Apple into any other watch. The finish might not match exactly if you are going from a steel to an aluminum. There are also third-party bands that are coming or available right now that will slide in, and basically you just slide that back in to use it. This is a Florio Master band, which is a fancy way of saying it's a really nice feeling synthetic rubber type material. It's like the silicone style iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus cases, and the colors do line up pretty well, so if you use one of those, your color will pretty much match. Now, I've been using this pretty heavily for the last 3 weeks, and you can wash the band, you can wash the watch real briefly. It is not water resistant, so you cannot wear this swimming. You're not supposed to wear it in the shower, although some people do. Water resistance is not a permanent thing, so you should not plan to wear this into the water all the time. Now, I haven't been especially careful with mine. I haven't worn a case on it except for a brief few days to test a review. And I have no scratches or other issues with mine. The band held up well. We've also been testing a pink band, a blue band, and some of the bands that come with the stainless steel model. And all of them seem to hold up really well. Apple does warn that you may get some changes in coloration. There is a little bit of change in the curve of the band here and here because it's conforming to my wrist. And after about a month, it feels just a tiny bit looser than at the start of that. So there is a chance that you'll see a little bit of stretch or a little bit of wear there. But overall, we're a fan of the Apple Watch design. We like that you're going to be able to switch out the bands to something that maybe dresses up nicer. So the big question is the Apple Watch worth buying? Now, for most users who already own an iPhone and they want to get the convenience of notifications and glances of important information, as well as access to apps that work pretty good but do need some improvement, this is a very handy iPhone accessory. I purchased this one for $399 and I purchased AppleCare with it, and it's a purchase I would make again after using it for a month. It fits my needs, it makes my life easier because I'm able to see important information on my wrist, I can control my home's lighting from my wrist, and perform other activities like replying to messages, both personal and work, right from my wrist. And you might not think that you're going to use a lot of phone calls from your wrist, but when your hands are full or you're rushing through the grocery store and you get a phone call, it's really handy to have the features that are included with the Apple Watch. Your experience will come down to how you customize the apps and the notifications that you get. So if you try this out and you feel overwhelmed, you may need just to limit your notifications. This is a first-gen product, so my advice is to go for one of the affordable options. I like the Sport watch because it is more affordable, and if I'm going to upgrade for Gen 2 or Gen 3, it'll be easier to justify a more expensive purchase at that time. I'm completely happy with my Apple Watch purchase, and after a month, it's passed that test. I think you will be happy with yours too. You can check out a link in the description for more information and our full Apple Watch review.